despite what I said about just having one, that's not out of the ordinary. A lot of beers are built where you really should only have one. You get into this 12% range,
Yeah.
you need to have 4 of these.
Speak for yourself, big boy. Coming to you practically live from the Beer to Whiskey Studios high atop Barley's Tap Room on Washington Street in downtown Greenville, South Carolina. I'm Russ Heaps, and this is Beer to Whiskey. And today we're doing one of our Big John in 5 episodes where I get my good buddy on the other end of the dais, Big John Richards, to pick a beer from one of Barley's 72 taps or their 50 or 60 bottles and cans. We sniff them, we sip them, we get bits about them. Sometimes John tells us a little bit about the brewery. Sometimes he tells us a little bit about brewing and the history of brewing. And we always get to drink beer. Joining us today, in between John and I, a rose between two thorns or some sort of nonsense, is a fraternity brother of mine. We've been good friends for over 50 years. E. Randall Porter. He's from Dayton, Ohio. He happens to be in town because this weekend was supposed to be Barley's biggest little beer fest. We got a freak storm coming in on Sunday, which is the day it was supposed to be, or Saturday night actually, so it's been postponed for a couple of weeks. But anyway, happy to have you here, Ports.
Thank you.
And with all that nonsense out of the way, John, I'm very excited because this beer is very dark.
Right. Well, this one being right up Russ' alley, we're going to get this one out of the way so we can convince him to do other stuff later.
Yeah.
So this is a Founder's Kentucky Breakfast Stout variant that they released in August of 2021 called Cinnamon Vanilla Cocoa. So they've added a cinnamon vanilla swirl kind of to it's like adding a fudge swirl to your moose tracks or something, I guess, because you're starting with a double chocolate coffee oatmeal stout.
Right.
And you're adding cinnamon vanilla, and it's just, this is their sweet treat for all the sweet beer lovers out there, which I guess is us, because we're going to drink it.
Yes, we are.
I'm perfectly excited for it. Big 12%er, 45 IBUs, so there's going to be no bitterness to this at all. We're going to be looking at maybe a little bit of roast, but not a big sweet cinnabon of a imperial stout.
And I think probably an ideal beer for aging. Probably put a couple of years on.
Yeah, I would think so. It's probably, it's going to be just fine to age. It may lose some of the intricacies of being the cinnamon vanilla kind of bomb that it is right now. And you may start to pick up some of the fermentation flavors and may actually sweeten up even a little bit over what it is right now. But these kinds of beers, some of them age really well, and we're back to talking about whether a beer that's already been aged should be drunk now or whether it should be aged longer, because this started its life out as a bourbon barrel aged stout and then got doctored up to become what it is today. So it's a question that can't be answered. Should you age this or should you not? And then it just depends on how experimental you want to be.
When you say age it, you mean in the bottle itself?
Yeah.
After it's bottled,
Yeah.
it'll continue to age in the bottle?
Oh, absolutely. We
Didn't know that.
yeah, there's most of these beers that are in that 9, 10, 12% range. Most of them have to be aged before they're really ready to drink. You get a big barley wine in the year it's released, you want to set it down for at least a year before it's really going to settle into what it's ready to be.
All those flavors resolving themselves.
Right. Same way, like when you put a spaghetti sauce in your fridge, it's better overnight than it is when you first make it. Those flavors got to blend a little. So,
Well,
All right.
on that note,
I'll try not to spill any on you this time, Ford.
I like it.
Text Miss Lily.
Wow.
Ooh, I took a bigger sip of that than I meant to. It just kept going.
I was going to ask you why they called it Kentucky Breakfast Stout, but I guess because of the coffee in it. That's the reason.
Because they aged it in bourbon barrels.
But they but they call it breakfast stout, so you
Right.
normally don't associate beer with breakfast, at least I don't.
What?
Welcome to my life.
Jeez.
Because it's coffee, chocolate, you
Yeah.
know, they're going to talk about breakfast. And breakfast stout, the original, was wonderful. It's one of my favorite beer labels. It's just sort of a old looking hand-drawn picture of a baby eating out of a cereal bowl. And it's just, it's a beautiful label for something called breakfast stout. Throw it into a bourbon barrel and they call it Kentucky breakfast stout. And then every once in a while, they throw some into Canadian maple syrup barrels and call it Canadian breakfast stout or CBS. And then they do these variants because they've when they released this one, they re-released their espresso KBS, which is my favorite. Anytime they go heavier with the coffee, I'm on board with that. So I mean, these are great, and I'll sit down and drink one of these. But this is way too sweet for me to consider having a second.
Yeah, I could not do another one, but boy, on the back of my tongue, I'm getting a lot of the vanilla.
Yeah, and a lot of vanilla, and the coffee lingers on the back
Yeah.
of my tongue.
And you can tell it's high alcohol content too.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, although it's not, it doesn't.
it doesn't burn, but it's big.
Yeah, it is big. Wow, this is nice.
Yeah, this is a really well put together beer. I just, despite what I said about just having one, that's not out of the ordinary. A lot of beers are built where you really should only have one. You get into this 12% range.
Yeah.
You need to have 4 of these.
Speak for yourself, big boy.
But yeah, that's a product of what it is. It's supposed to be a big, aggressive flavor. It's supposed to be sipped. It's supposed to be enjoyed over time. You know, if you knock one of these back in 15 minutes, you're going to be on the floor in about half an hour or so.
Well, we were, and the person involved will remain anonymous.
I hope it wasn't me.
No, it wasn't. But John and I were at one of our favorite Sunday watering holes, Smoke on the Water, which is on Augusta Street in Greenville. And the bar manager poured John and I and another guy who was with us, I don't know, 1.5 ounces, 2 ounces of 12-year-old Van Winkle. And we cheered and clinked glasses, and John and I are swirling and smelling, and this guy just takes his and goes whack, puts it down, and I'm like, what? That's a shame. That's like throwing down a shot of 1942 tequila or
right.
something. It's like, if you want to do that, they got some
Yeah, they got stuff.
old granddad and
They got
stuff
stuff
up
that
there.
burns. Let it burn.
Yeah, yeah.
They got some Kesslers down there
Right.
somewhere.
So the idea behind these kind of beers is if you're sitting at the bar, you know, this glass of beer should take you 45 minutes probably at least. And as it gets to room temperature a little bit more, it will resolve itself a little bit more, and the flavor will be even a little bit bigger. So
Yeah, this is the kind of beer that comes straight out of the tap. I mean, this is the kind of beer that I'd get halfway through the beer that I was drinking, and I would order a 10 ounce of something like this, and just let it sit there for 15
Right.
minutes, so it come down and be a little closer to tap. Because this ought to be drinking at 50 or 55 degrees to really open up to what it is.
Yeah.
Versus coming out of the taps, could hit the glass and be 36, 38.
So it'll be interesting because we do a bunch of these segments at a sitting, and we usually get about this much sipped out of them, and then we put them aside and sort of polish off some of them when we get totally done with the shoot. So I'm interested to see what this is like in another couple of hours.
Yeah. We'll get all the way up to room temperature with this, which it'll be past its prime by then, but we get our chance to sip through it and enjoy it.
Right. Wow, it is the cinnamon. Now I'm getting more of the cinnamon on the front end.
Yeah.
Wow, that is really good.
Just out of curiosity, does this come in those big, tall, like pint
Bombers?
bottles, bombers?
Most of what I've seen from founders these days is coming in 12-ounce 4-packs.
Okay. And a 4-pack would go for about how much?
This probably you're looking at 14 or 16 bucks, something like that.
Okay.
And again, Founders stays really reasonable with their pricing. A lot of other, there's a lot of 4-packs out there that are going for $26 that aren't anywhere near the quality of this beer.
Right.
They're just small breweries who don't brew on the same scale and have to price it that way, or can because of their reputation or whatever the case may be. But
Well, there's something to be said for economy of scale.
right,
When you produce
oh,
more,
absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah.
And Founders is
Does
able to
that,
do
yeah.
that.
And more power to them. I love the beer. The beer's still the same quality, so keep it
Exactly,
coming.
exactly. Anything else?
Let's do it.
All right. Let's let these folks go and find some of this good stuff.
Come on.
So damn lucky. See you next time.